14 years old, and this summer I went to Tanzania on a missions trip with Teen Missions International. This specific trip started with a boot camp, which was about 2 weeks long and was very intense. Every morning we would start with a training course that was hard, very hard. And then we would have classes all day. We were living in tents for the 2 weeks that we were there. We were walking. We had the farthest camp away from all of our activities because we were a backpacking team, which was nice. I chose the hardest team on Teen Missions, and then I found out that once we got there, and I was like, wow, okay. So being the hardest team, we were given the hardest of everything. Like I mentioned, we had the farthest camp, and we had 30-pound bricks to carry around in these very uncomfortable hiking backpacks. But it was really a learning experience because God just showed me that when I broke down, He would build me up. He showed me that being a missionary for Him isn't easy. It's very difficult work, and that I had to surrender myself completely to Him to be able to survive this. So that was a real learning experience for me. And then, so after we survived boot camp is in Merritt Island, Florida, swampland, very mosquito-y, by the way. So we flew 18 hours to Tanzania, and when we got there, there was this huge building project that we had to either work on or complete, and there was no way we could complete it. So that was a little discouraging, but we thought, well, we're just going to work on it, and then maybe the next team next year can complete it. And that was really cool. We worked super hard on it. We laid bricks, we mixed cement, we poured pillars, we did a lot of stuff that was beneficial to the project. It was a Bible missionary and work school where college students from around Tanzania would come, and they would go to college there to learn how to be a missionary in their home country. And about a week in, we had these two buildings. One of them was our storage area and kitchen and stuff, and the other one was this little shed, and we didn't really have anything to do with the shed. But a week in, we found out that there was this old guy living in our shed, and we were just like, what's the deal with this guy? So through our translator, our leader talked to him. He was all like, okay, so what's your name? He's like, my name is Lazarus. And this guy is 98 years old. He has 6 wives, 38 children, and walks 10 miles about every day just to see every single one of his children. And our leader asked him, do you know who Christ is? And he's like, I've heard of him, but that's it, I just heard of him. And so our leader told him the gospel story, and Lazarus accepted Christ. So after about 2.5 to 3 weeks on the building project, we left for Mount Kilimanjaro, and we hiked about 4 miles uphill on the mountain and got to this Lutheran church grounds where there wasn't actually a church yet, it was just the grounds. And it was really cool because there was real toilets, no squatty potties here, real toilets. And there was running water out of a spigot that we could drink, and there was a building for the kitchen, and great grounds. There was kids every day who would come and play with us because there was a soccer field, and we would play soccer with them and get our butts kicked because they were 6 years old and living in Africa. So we camped out at night in our tents and then evangelized by day. And most of what we did was going door-to-door evangelizing, as well as visiting schools and stuff. But during the door-to-door evangelizing, we came across a few very, very special people. And at the first house that had one of these very special people, this mother who was clearly distressed brought us her little boy who he was suffering of a mental illness that we didn't know what it was. And then so she told us that when she was pregnant with him, she would hallucinate about snakes, and then like she would see them everywhere. And she was bitten by a snake near the time that he was to be born. She said that when he was born, he acted like a snake. He would wiggle and hiss on the ground. And I didn't know at the time, but we prayed over him. And this kid had never talked in his life. And whenever somebody prayed near or over him, he would wail and scream. And I didn't know at the time, but our leader told us later that, you know, that kid was possessed, right? And we were like, whoa, that's heavy. Because I didn't know. So that was really cool. We got to cast out demons. And we went to this other house where there was this old woman who had not walked in a very long time. And we prayed over her and we washed her feet, and she stood up and walked. And then so one of our main translators, he owned this school because like God wanted him to make a school, because the government schools over there are horrible. Kids are like beaten by their teachers, and it's a horrible system. So God told him to make a school, like found a school for children to not be in the government system. So he founded this school, and we went to the school, and while there we washed kids' feet. We washed their heads, rubbed ointment on for ringworm, and we found two very special children. One of them, her name was Lightness, and you'll see her in the video that Gaby's going to play at the end, but the entire right side of her face was scabbed up and infected, and we believe she was beaten, but we're not positive. But the other kid, his name was Walter. We know that he was beaten by his father. He was beaten so badly that his eye had come out. And it was just amazing to see that like these kids who have been beaten, who have nothing, love God more than most people in America. So it was amazing. At one school that we went to, it was a high school actually, we did a performance. We danced and sang and did a drama. We did testimonies. And then afterwards, we did an altar call. And 30 free students came up to accept Christ. And that's good enough by itself. But then you add to the fact that 11 of them were Muslim. And you have to think about this. They thought of the consequences, like they could have been kicked out of their families, even killed for being a Christian, and they still loved God enough. So that was amazing. After Kilimanjaro, we flew back on the 23rd to Florida and spent 4 days to debrief, essentially, where we had more classes on like how to come off the mountain, your spiritual high, and not have it fall on you. So like fall deep into depression and stuff, coming off your spiritual high, and how to not lose that, you know, keep up your devotions every day. And it was amazing just to think about, like, these people go home and they keep ministering to the people in their homes, and they keep on being missionaries for God, even though they're not in a foreign country, you know? And God told me that